The housing market downturn in Tampa, Florida continues to get worse in 2025. Home prices are dropping and they are dropping fast. And in this video, I'm going to give you all the detail that you need to know as a Tampa area home buyer and investor so you can understand just how much prices are going to drop in your area. Now, first things first, everyone, values in Tampa St. Pete are down 4.1% over the last 12 months. So there is already a housing correction playing out here. Sellers on homes have lost 4.1% on the value in the last 12 months. And these value declines are happening all across the metro. Pinellas is down 6%, Pasco's down 4.3%, and Hillsboro's down 3.1%. And I believe these value declines are going to get even more severe over the next 12 months due to the massive pileup of inventory that we are currently seeing on the market in the Tampa area. Put simply, we have the highest level of housing supply in Tampa that we have seen in the last 12 to 13 years. The buyer demand is way down and sellers are now trying to get out of the market before it gets even worse. Because there's now 19,000 homes for sale in the Tampa St. Pete metro. And as this video goes along, everyone, I'm going to get more into the detail, zip code and county level. But first, let's look at the overall metro. Wow, inventory is up to 19,300 homes. The long-term average for April is 11,000 homes. So inventory is up almost 80% from the long-term average. So I want you folks to just consider this chart. If you're a buyer and investor trying to understand where's Tampa going in the future, well, with this much supply on the market, prices are going to keep dropping. And now you can see Tampa's 72% inventory surplus. That's one of the highest inventory surpluses in America. Among metro areas with a population over 500,000, Tampa has the 10th most inventory compared to other markets. That's got to scare you, everyone. If you're a Tampa homeowner or seller, hoping that this downturn was going to stop anytime soon, it's not, due to this huge inventory surplus. However, if you're a buyer or prospective buyer, this is great news. Finally, Tampa's housing market is getting more affordable. It's improved by 4.1% in affordability over the last year. That's how much prices have dropped, but it's going to drop by even more over the next 12 months. And at the end of this video, I'm going to reveal my forecast for Tampa's housing market over the next 12 months, because the more that this inventory goes up, the more that the prices are going to go down. But I think an important thing to understand as a buyer, before you get too excited, is that while the values are dropping, they're still going to feel very expensive. This Tampa's housing market boomed during the pandemic. It was one of the biggest boom towns in America, Tampa, Florida, in terms of how much the prices went up. You can see the price growth was 15% through April 2021, then it was 29% through April 2022. So in a 2-year span, the prices in Tampa went up by about 50% in a 2-year span. Then it slowed to 4.4% growth, then 3.5%. Now it's heavily in minus territory. And I think what concerns me about Tampa's housing market is its history. Because if we just look back into the mid-2000s, what do we see? It's a similar situation where prices vaulted up in Tampa, and then not only did they correct, prices crashed in the Tampa, Florida metro, Pinellas County, Pasco County, Hernando County, Hillsborough County, even Manatee County. Prices went way down. They actually went down by almost 50% over 5 years in this last downturn. So look at this. In 08, prices went down 15%. In 09, they went down 20%. In 2010, they went down 10%. In 2011, they went down 10%. I mean, 4 years in a row of double-digit price declines. Is that going to happen again in Tampa's housing market? And are we going to see massive declines? Are we going to see a real return in affordability to the market? Not just 4%, but maybe are we going to see 25, 30% declines in Tampa? Well, I think that could happen over multiple years, right? Housing market downturns tend to be slow. 4% in year one could lead to 8% in year two and 12% in year three. And before you know it, prices have dropped 25%. And I think Tampa could be heading for that because the values are still very overpriced. Here at Reventure App, we have the Tampa Metro at 21% overvalued. 21% overvalued, meaning that prices could only drop 21%. Maybe they could even go below the long-term norm. So there's a lot of downside risk. And I just want to take a second to explain to you all, as a home buyer in this area of West Coast Florida, why this is happening, because there's still a lot of confusion out there. I happen to live in St. Petersburg. I'm recording this video in St. Petersburg in my office. And I still see a lot of misinformation perpetrated by local realtors, by local mortgage brokers, by investors in the market who don't fully understand what's going on. And a lot of people still try to say that there's a lot of demand, that so many people are moving here. And what you need to understand is that that cycle for Tampa and St. Pete, it's over for this part of the housing cycle. No longer are people moving in, people are now leaving. And this is data that comes from the US Census Bureau proving the fact that there's now outbound migration. I want you guys to think about that. Tampa is now losing people. So if we go here on Reventure App to county view and we press the metric domestic migration, we can see Hillsborough County, which is the main county in Tampa, lost 11,000 Americans. A net 11,000 Americans moved out of Tampa, moved out of Hillsborough County. It peaked at 16,000 in migration in 2022. Yeah, there were a lot of people moving to Tampa for a good 15 years, but not anymore. For the first time in Hillsborough County's history, it lost more than 10,000 net people due to migration in a year. So what this means is there's not going to be any quick fix to the current situation. Hillsborough County, Tampa, it became too expensive. The locals could no longer afford it. So they started to leave just as there was a slowdown in new buyers entering the market. That's how you get the negative domestic migration. And this 2024 data, it's only through June 2024. It's 12 months through June 2024. This didn't even include the hurricanes in late 2024. I think this number is going to get even worse when the 2025 data is updated. And so this is a reset playing out. And I want to be clear, this is good news. This is great news if you're a local who's been waiting to buy. The migration's dropping off the table, the inventory is skyrocketing, the prices are dropping, and they're going to continue to drop because the housing cycle is now reversing in Tampa. And right now, I just want to get into some of the county-specific data. Because depending on where you go, there could be very different things occurring in your particular area. Now, some of you are in Tampa, others of you are up in Wesley Chapel, up in Pasco County, others of you are in St. Petersburg or Clearwater, some of you are down in Bradenton. So let's look at the county level data to see what's going on exactly county by county in terms of these home price changes so you can make a more informed decision as a buyer, investor, realtor or seller in 2025. So we're back now to the county map on Reventure App. And at the end of this video, I'm going to explain to you all how you can access this real-time home price data for yourself. We just updated Reventure App with the data from Zillow on home values for April. So we can see here, Pinellas is the worst hit county. Values in Pinellas County are down 5.9% over the last year. And you can see there's some zip codes where values are down 14%. There's some areas near the beach where values are down 11% year over year. I mean, there's some heavy declines here in Pinellas County that are really crash level declines. If values go down 10% in a year, it's really bad. Now, in Hillsborough, values aren't down by as much. They're down 3.1% in Hillsborough, and then they're down 4.3% in Pasco County. So Pasco County is kind of the higher growth county. This is the area that a lot of people and families move up to. There's some better schools in Pasco County. There's also some retirees moving here. Values even there in Pasco County are dropping. In Hernando County, they were down 2.4%. So the lowest decline was in Hernando County, which really is a straight up pretty much retirement destination, older population up there. Then you head down to Manatee County and near Bradenton. Values are down 6.1% in Manatee County, and they're actually down 8.4% in Sarasota. So heavy value declines year over year across all of Western Florida, but it really depends what area you're in. You guys can let me know in the comment section below, where are you looking to buy a house or investment property in Tampa? How much are the values dropping in your area? Are you seeing the sellers cut the price? Because this data is pretty clear. The market is correcting. However, what's most important for you to understand as a buyer is not just where prices go in the last year, but where price is going to go the next 12 months. Because that's going to help inform your decision on whether you should buy today, whether you should wait, or what type of offer you should make if you're actively looking at buying a house. So what I'm going to do now is explain to you how my home price forecast works. I developed a home price forecast score for you all out there so you can better understand where the market is trending. and I'm going to reveal to you all my score for the Tampa Metro and tell you how that score relates to future price growth over the next 12 months. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to click Metro on Reventure App, and we're going to look at Tampa St. Pete, and then we're going to change the data point to home price forecast. So our home price forecast score is a metric out of 100. And right now in Tampa, we're a 30 out of 100 across the entire 4-county metro area. Now you can see this score back in 2021, 2022 is in the high 70s, meaning that it was a seller's market. We were saying prices would continue to go up. However, the score started dipping negative in 2024, and now it's heavily negative at a 30 out of 100. So a 30 out of 100 means that prices are going to trend down. And the reason prices are going to trend down is due to the inventory. So higher inventory leads to a lower inventory score. In addition, price cuts are really elevated. We can see the price cut rate is now at 37.2% of all listings, also the highest level on record, while the days on the market is up to 58 days, also the highest level on record. So I just want to run through that, everyone. Highest inventory, highest price cut rate, highest DOM going back 10 years in Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, 4-county metro. That's telling you values will keep dropping. So feel very confident about that. If you're a prospective buyer or investor, values are going to keep dropping. The question is, how much are they going to drop? Well, we're a 30 out of 100, which is heavily downward price pressure. And so the question is, how bad is a 30 out of 100? What is that going to mean for future 12-month price growth? Well, let's consult our handy score conversion chart here at Reventure App. You can see a 30 out of 100 corresponds to a 7.2% decline in prices, which is our forecast for the entire Tampa metro. You know, Pinellas County, Hillsborough County, Pasco, Hernando, minus 7.2%. We're going to get into a second about how you can understand how much values are forecast to drop in your city and zip code specifically. But you can see that's a pretty big forecasted decline right here, minus 7.2%. Remember, values dropped 4.1% the last year. So if they were to drop 7% over the next year, that would be an 11 to 12% correction over a 2-year time, which would be pretty significant, everyone. However, our price forecast varies significantly by zip code in the Tampa metro. So what you guys need to do to unlock this forecast for your zip code is go to www.reventure.app, upgrade to a premium plan, and then you're going to be able to see our forecast score for your area in the Tampa metro. We also have this data for Northport and Sarasota, for Lakeland, for all the markets in Florida. If you want the zip code level data, take a look at that score, 0 to 100. The closer it is to 0, the more likely prices are to drop. And I'm going to also have a link to the conversion chart in the description below so you can see how that score relates to future price growth in your area in Florida